In this video, I'm going to explain 5 steps you need to go through to re-regulate your nervous system. This is really everything you need to reset your nervous system over time. Now, the first thing I want to discuss in this video is what I mean by nervous system dysregulation versus nervous system regulation, because there's a lot of misunderstanding around this. A lot of people think that if they're in fight or flight, anxious or angry, that they're dysregulated. That means your nervous system is dysregulated. And that's not what we mean by nervous system dysregulation. Nervous system dysregulation is when your system gets really rigid. So what happens is, say something happens in your day, you face a challenge and you go into a flight response where you feel really anxious. In a dysregulated nervous system, it's rigid, so you get stuck there. You're stuck in this flight response for hours or days. And so nervous system dysregulation is more than just being in a state of fight, flight, fawn, freeze, or shutdown. It is when your system is rigid and it's this prolonged response. Now, nervous system regulation, there's also some misunderstanding around this, because nervous system regulation, a lot of people think, oh, I'm calm, I feel safe, I feel present and connected. And that's great. In this list of 5 steps to re-regulate your nervous system, we're going to talk about a safe and connected state, how to access that more often, but you're not going to always be there. That's not possible. What we mean by nervous system regulation is your system is flexible. So what can happen is, say you face that challenge in your day, you go into a flight response where you feel anxious. After, 20 minutes, you do some work, you shift back out with ease to a safe, calm, connected state. That's nervous system regulation. Nervous system regulation is not just you perpetually being calm. It means your system's flexible. So it could go into a survival state and it could shift back out with ease. And in this video, we're going to go through 5 steps that is going to help you do this over time and make your system flexible. Now, why are we talking about nervous system regulation and resetting your system? Essentially, if you have chronic pain, chronic illness, trauma, other severe mental health concerns going on, nervous system regulation is essential. It is how we heal. It is how we move through these things. And in my work, one-on-one in therapy, I do a lot of this. And in my digital course, we really focus on this as well. So let's get into these 5 steps. Number 1, education and awareness. So the starting place to re-regulating your nervous system is learning about the nervous system. It's the education and starting to get awareness of your own unique nervous system. So I'll give you a little bit of education here, but I want to emphasize everyone's nervous system is unique to them and it's going to present differently. So you really need to get connected and build awareness around it. Now, the first thing I explain to people in terms of education is what your nervous system is doing every minute of your entire life, even before you had conscious memory. So most of us know what perception is. We perceive things. We perceive things internally, sensations, and we perceive things externally. And perception is very conscious. So if you met me in real life, I know this is a video, you'd be consciously making perceptions. Is Tanner a safe person? Is he a dangerous person? Is he nice? Is he mean? Like, you're consciously making these perceptions as you go. The thing is your nervous system does this first, and we call this neuroception. So you think about neuroception, it's essentially your nervous system scanning. And every minute of your entire life, it's scanning internally, externally, in relationships. And what it's scanning for is signals of safety or signals of danger. Now, when neuroception works really well and is accurate, it's great. So if we face a challenge in our day, we get a flight response, we take action, we deal with it, we move back out to a safe and connected state. When neuroception is working quite efficiently, it's not a problem. It's actually really helpful for our life. The problem is if you've faced chronic pain, chronic symptoms, mental health concerns, trauma, childhood adversity, neuroception gets wonky. So what starts to happen is your system is now picking up more signals of danger than are actually there. And again, this isn't really by mistake, because if you've faced overwhelming things in the past, your nervous system becomes wired for protection, as Deb Dana talks about it. It becomes wired for protection. And so essentially what it does, it's now it's searching for danger. And, a lot of the education in this video, I want to give credit to Dr. Porges and Deb Dana. I take a lot of this education from them. They are amazing researchers, practitioners in this space. They've done a lot of amazing work. And, when we understand neuroception, we just come to understand that our system is going wonky. I experienced this. I remember when I was first healing, I became really aware that I was just always searching for danger. I was always searching for danger signals taking place, and we want to shift that over time. So that's neuroception and how it essentially works. Now, based on neuroception, I talk about 5 states that you can potentially go into. And I have a whole video on these 5 states, so I'm not going to cover them in detail, but I'll put the 5 states of the nervous system video. It's really one-on-one. It breaks it down in great detail. But your first state is safety and connection. Now, yes, this can include calmness, but it's a little bit more than that. You feel safe internally with sensations. You feel safe in relationships, and you're connected. A great sign that you're in a safe and connected state is you want to connect with the world. You want to socially engage. This could include things like being productive in a passionate way, being playful. And so this is safety and connection. It's all those warm, fuzzy feelings that we love. And you're not always going to be here, but we want to take notice of when our system is going into this state. Now, after safety and connection, I talk about the fight response. This is when you start to feel agitated, irritable. At the extreme end, it'd be rage, anger, and your system has a lot of energy in the fight response. And we call it the fight response, but it doesn't mean you're actually fighting by any means. It's just like you have a lot of energy, your system's mobilizing to take action. And for a lot of people, they get caught in this fight response. For myself, this was a really common state that I could go into. Next, we have the flight response. This is where you start to feel nervous, scared. At the extreme end, it'd be anxiety and panic. And again, here your system has a lot of energy and it's flight. So it's trying to take action, it's trying to flee. And for a lot of people in this flight response, you see a lot of avoidance behaviors where people avoid attending to sensations inside. They avoid going out into the world, being in relationships. Next, we have the fawn response. Now, the fawn response is less known, but it's also a survival response. Your system's going into it to try to create safety. And in the fawn response, we're looking for social approval. We're looking for social acceptance. Behaviors like perfectionism, people-pleasing can live here. Especially in the fawn response, people can have a lack of boundaries. They can have a lack of expressing themselves outwardly to others. And essentially, you're just always trying to get social approval. Now, the fawn response can be useful in small doses, but if it becomes perpetual, that's nervous system dysregulation, and it's going to cause more danger than safety long term. And lastly, we have the freeze and shutdown response. Now, the freeze and shutdown response. Here, this is a really common place for people to go if they face childhood adversity or trauma. It's a really common state people go into really easily. In the freeze shutdown response, your system's starting to collapse. It can go numb, it can dissociate, disconnect, feel hopeless, helpless, despair. It's essentially shutting you down. And it's like low energy. So if you think fight or flight is really high energy, freeze shutdown becomes really low energy as your system is collapsing. So these are the 5 states. The reason I go through them is like you need to learn about them. If this is all new to you, again, check out that video. But we need to learn about them and we need to become aware when we're going into them. So yes, we need to educate ourselves about the nervous system, but we need the awareness. I talk about dropping in consistently throughout your day and describing what's taking place. because you need to be connected to your system. So I always tell clients that I'm working with, it should take you a minute each time you do it. It actually originates from a skill Deb Dana calls the notice and name skill, but this should take you a minute. What you're doing is you're dropping in, you're noticing what sensations are taking place, what thoughts am I having, what behaviors are taking place, what emotional response is happening. And so you're dropping in, you're describing your experience, and you're naming, okay, where am I at? What state am I in? If you can do this consistently each day, you're going to learn so much about your nervous system. I know for a lot of us, we just know, like, okay, I feel anxious, but there's so much more awareness you can come to understand. When I was first doing this, I was amazed by what I learned. I learned all these different triggers that were putting me into certain survival states that I was never aware of. I knew I felt bad. I knew I didn't feel good, but I wasn't that aware of like what state, what triggers what state. Like you really want to build this awareness over time. So again, the starting place here is education and awareness. It's a vital first step when we're re-regulating our nervous system. Number 2, practice being in a safe and connected state. Ooh, safety and connection. We love this feeling. Like I said, it's all those warm, fuzzy feelings that we feel inside, where we feel safe to explore the world. For a lot of people, if they've been perpetually dysregulated, this is the state that's really unknown to them. They're barely there. And so part of the starting place is noticing, Deb Dana talks about like micro moments of safety. So when we're perpetually anxious or depressed or in a trauma response, we're constantly dysregulated. But for all of us, doesn't matter who you are, there's probably these micro moments where you feel safety and connection. These micro moments that feel good in your day. And you want to start to become aware of those. Notice what brings you there. When I talk about safety and connection with people, in my approach, I talk about safety signals. Now, there are external safety signals that you can utilize to get to a safe and connected state. This could be things like a certain animal, a pet, certain people, certain places, certain activities or hobbies. But you want to understand, okay, externally, what in my environment helps me get to a safe and connected state? Because once you know that, you can fill your day full of it. You know, every morning I go and walk my puppy Darla to Tim Hortons and back. It's an amazing, savoring safety and connection moment. And I really want to be there. And so because I know that really regulates me, I do it really consistently. So there's external safety signals. There's also internal safety signals. This could be things like breath work. It could be somatic movement. Sometimes it's present moment sensing like sight, sounds, taste, touch, smell. It could be things like safe self-talk. Like what are the cognitive messages you can tell yourself to feel safe? In my approach, I go through somatic massage and tapping because that can be quite regulating for people. And the last one is visualization I discuss. Visualizing a calm person, place, or memory can really put you in this safety and connection. Now, if you're new to internal safety signals, I have a whole free practice for you. I'm going to put the link down below. It's a practice where you are practicing being in a safe and connected state. Now, again, you're not going to always be here, and that's not the goal. I want to be clear about that. Don't try and force yourself to always be in a safe and connected state. We want to practice having more easy access to it so you can get there more often. And that somatic practice I put down below will help you do that. But you're never going to always be here. You could watch my videos for 10 hours a day. You could go to therapy 3 times a week for 30 years. You are not always going to be in a safe and connected state. But again, we want to practice being here and getting more easy access to it. So check out that video to get you started. Number 3, somatic work with survival states. So again, to review, the survival states are fight, flight, fawn, freeze, and shutdown. Now, in the last step of this list, I explained, okay, we're practicing safety and connection. That's safety and connection. It's very vital. The other part of this is we need exposure to somatically working with these survival states. We need to learn to approach them, drop into them. One thing that I see people do is they try to force calmness and it just becomes avoidance. It's actually going to make you more dysregulated over time. We need to learn to attend to difficult emotions and survival states and work with them. Because if we can do that, we no longer need to fear them and run away from them. And we can learn that we can drop into our body, explore them somatically, and move through them. This is essential when we're trying to heal trauma, nervous system dysregulation, chronic pain, chronic symptoms. We need to be able to drop into our body to what feels unpleasant and work with it. Now, I did a whole video recently on how to release difficult emotions and dysregulation. It's a meditation that's very similar to a ton of them that I have in my digital course, but try that meditation out. It's helping you practice, get exposure, and move through difficult sensations inside. You can't skip this step. I want to be so clear with people because I see people do this all the time. They do the education, awareness about their nervous system, and then they just try to force safety and calmness. That's not going to take you the whole way there. If you can actually actively approach, say, a flight response, in the future when it happens, you're going to be less scared of it. So check out that meditation that I'll put down below to get you started. Number 4, co-regulation. So far in this list, we've been talking a lot about self-regulation, using certain practices, awareness, education to self-regulate. But one thing we know about our nervous system is the natural way it regulates is co-regulation. And co-regulation is when two nervous systems feed off one another and lead each other towards safety and connection. Now, when I say two nervous systems, this could be a person and a person. It could be a person and an animal. Even two animals, they co-regulate together. My cats, I have 2 of them. Harry and Hermione, my partner, she loves Harry Potter. But I see them co-regulating. They cuddle together, they sleep together. There's co-regulation taking place. It's very adorable. But for a lot of us, when we've been dysregulated for a lot of years, we can feel very in isolation. We can feel alone with our sensations. And naturally, when people have chronic pain, chronic illness, for example, they naturally become more isolated. They can't go out because their symptoms are too intense. So I know co-regulation can be a difficult thing for a lot of people. And I hear this in the comments, like, how do I co-regulate if I never leave my house? You're just doing the best you can. Some great examples of this is, if you're bedbound with your symptoms or dysregulation, maybe it's joining an online course. There's lots of cheap courses out there. Joining an online course, getting virtual connection. It's nice if it's face-to-face, like phone is okay. If that's all you can do, you can phone a friend. But even like virtual connection in like a course can be really helpful. Phoning a friend for 2 minutes, great example of co-regulation. Maybe you go to Tim Hortons, like I do in the morning, or any coffee shop, and you co-regulate, you connect with the person and just ask how their day's going. It's these small moments of co-regulation. Again, I want people to get to a place where they're more social, they're more socially connected with people around them in their community, but I know this can be hard at first. But again, it's just vital to understand that co-regulation, that's the natural way that your nervous system regulates. We've come up in therapy all these fancy self-regulation skills. And don't get me wrong, I love my fancy self-regulation skills, but co-regulation is naturally how you regulate. This is why therapy can be so effective for people, because you're co-regulating with your therapist. That's what I'm doing each and every day when I'm working with someone. And eventually, because I don't want people to become dependent on therapy, I want them to widen their world, be more connected with animals or people around them so they get this natural co-regulation taking place. So try to play around with this. Again, just start small. I know for some people they're so isolated, but just these small moments, like I discussed, can go a long way over time. Number 5, lifestyle changes. Here is the great healing mistake that I see so many people do. I see them use self-regulation skills like breath work, somatic work with emotions or dysregulation. They use these self-regulation skills as band-aids on a lifestyle that naturally is creating a sense of danger. Now, we need to understand what factors in your life are making you feel in danger. Is it certain people, certain places, your work, your community, your wider society? Again, we can't change all these things, but we want to understand, are there factors in our life, bigger things that are creating a sense of danger? The other thing that you do have a lot more control over is how you live life. And this is this great healing mistake, is people are living life in a way that they're never going to feel safe. And then they're just applying these practices as band-aids. Don't do that. It's not going to be helpful for you long term. It is like a minor solution, and you're just going to get dysregulated a few days later. Now, the two types of lifestyles that can really lead to a lot of dysregulation is high intensity living and low intensity living. High intensity living looks like high achieving, excessive work, perfectionism, people pleasing, excessive control, excessive busyness. So think high intensity. These people are often in fight or flight. For myself, I often lived in this high intensity zone. The opposite is low intensity living. This includes things like a lack of connection to nature, no social connection, no purpose or passion taking place, a lack of movements, never going outside, like just staying inside on their couch. And again, no one's at fault for this. I want to be so clear. No one's to blame for their nervous system dysregulation. No one's to blame for high intensity or low intensity living. But you need to understand, are you in this high intensity or low intensity living? Because that needs to shift. Again, don't use all these strategies as band-aids to support a lifestyle that's never going to help you feel safe. Lifestyle changes are scary. I really understand that. I've had to make some big changes over the decade I've been doing this work. I had to let go of certain friends. I had to, let go of certain jobs that didn't work for me. And I had to really shift out of this high intensity living. Perfectionism is like one of the leading things that will cause me to be dysregulated. I can't be as perfectionistic as I used to be. I can't constantly control every element of my life. And so these lifestyle changes are really essential when we're trying to re-regulate our nervous system and reset it long term. So don't forget about this. Don't skip this step. Really be honest with yourself. Where are you in terms of living life? And what factors in your life might be sending signals of danger to you? So I hope this video was helpful. If you need extra support in your healing, I have 2 companies that could benefit you. My first company offers a digital course. It's available worldwide. It has a ton of education and practices for nervous system regulation. It's meant to help treat chronic pain, chronic illness, dysregulation, and trauma. So I'll put that link down below so you can learn more. My second company is my therapy practice, where we have a whole team of therapists that are trained and specialized in treating chronic pain, chronic illness, and trauma. Now, the therapy practice, due to regulations, we're only able to practice with clients located in Canada. So if you're in Canada, you can check that out. But I will put both links down below if you need the extra support. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.